Yep, she works. She works well. I got the best cuts that I could of each and tried to make them as equal as possible. And the times, I measured them, and it came out that this picked up another 16.6%, somewhere around there. And if you couple that with the 25% gains that I got off the rowdy pipe that I built for this saw, you know, I was shooting for 40%. I got a little bit over, 41%. Now, of course, you know, I want to get some more testing done. And like I said, right now here in Western New York, it's middle of summer, July. It's hot. I mean, I can go out in the morning and do a test, but I'm not really going to be getting into any firewood or anything for a couple weeks. Unless, you know, I get a call and something comes along, tree fell or somebody needs a hand or something. And then I can make some more tests. I pretty much released all the video footage that I have. And if you notice on those short 2 videos that I uploaded, you know, with the 2 best cuts, if you listen to the motor, you can hear that this motor is pulling up a little bit more RPM. In other words, this chain and sprocket and bar combination is actually requiring a little bit less power from this saw versus the C83 off the roll, but in the bigger chassis. And you can actually hear it if you compare both videos. And then I have a video where I have both saws in the same frame. It's harder to hear it individually, but you can see this sucker cooks. And this saw should last a long time and give a real good service life because, you know, I have a stock jug and slug, and I have a stock air filter. And I'm going to be using this for doing firewood and work. 40%, hey, I'll take that all day long. And like I said, because it's pretty much untouched, stock jug and slug, it should last, you know. Now, if you wanted more power, what you could do is you could go and either machine up your own thing, or I think there's a few products commercially available where you put that over the intake and you epoxy it, and then that transfers to a cylinder where you could put a green weenie or whatever on there, and that would probably pick up. You'd probably be up to, let's just say for sake of argument, 45% by doing that. Now, if you want to go into the jug and slug, you can get a little bit more. I mean, you could probably get this saw, the one that I have here, with that green weenie and what you see here, you're at 45%. And you can do a little bit more mods, 50%. But like I say, the more you do, you know, the more, the less longevity you're going to have. The whole beauty with this concept versus the porting is that because you're pulling this easier to move chain, you're probably not going to be burning any more fuel. In other words, the engine isn't as laboring as much. It can do the same work in a faster time, so it's more efficient. And because you didn't go in here and, you know, get in here and grind and like some of these guys are doing, they're just grinding. I don't know if they're trying to make race saw. I don't know what they're doing personally, but instead of doing anything like that, you got a stock jug and slug, and yeah, you're increasing the flow, but you're also picking it up on the back end time wise. Basically, what this is this is basically giving you a saw cutting 40% faster. you're getting the fuel mileage is going to be excellent, and the longevity. I'm not going to say it's going to last as long as stock because you are putting a little bit more on it. You're making it work more, but it's probably going to last you. Now, if people are concerned about the noise with this rowdy pipe, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I just wear muffs. Even when I wear, even a stock saw, well, I wouldn't never run a stock saw now. I would never go back. But even this here, if somebody didn't want this rowdy pipe, you could just do a muffler mod. And maybe you'll pick up whatever, and instead of 41%, maybe you'll lose 5, 6, 7, 8% with the muffler. You're not going to get the full gains out of it. But that's still pretty quick. Now, if you wanted to go crazy, cuckoo with this thing, you put the air filter. We could break down the squish. It's stock squish, too. There's no, I haven't done anything to the squish. You know, we could drop the squish down. I could modify the combustion chamber. I could do work to the piston. I could do, and I could Hotwoods port this thing to the point where it's, you know, it's tickling to the race. And you could probably get 60% cutting. But it's not, to me, it's not something, you know, that I'm going to do to this saw because it's a brand new saw. And I've got another one, pretty much brand new saw. This has got more time on it. But 40%, getting my gains, my fuel economy is going to be great, and the longevity is going to be there. I say it's a winner. Just the way it sits, and it actually looks pretty nice. With that bar on there, I think this is a good combination, a winning combination. You know, as far as just going ahead and taking this apart, and clearancing the cases and cutting the base and the squish and the whole 9 yards and paying $400 or $500, you know, how long is it going to last? Especially with this saw here. You know, how far can you push these? I mean, I know I could get another 15, 20% out of this thing. I know I can. Just like I said, I'd probably end up with 40%. And I beat it 42%, I know I could do it. And if somebody wanted something like that, it can be done. But myself personally, I don't know. You know, I'm happy with this. I consider this a success. I said I was going to get 40%, and I beat it by a little bit. We're still going to get in some other wood, maybe some bigger wood. I mean, this has. Let's measure this. I think I was getting 18 inches out of the 3/8, whatever. Yeah, you're still getting 18 inches. So it's a 20 inch bar, but you're getting 18 inches of full cut. So we'll get into some 18 inch stuff, but I can just tell you from running this, of having it in my hand, versus the 3/8 C83 chain. And look at, off the roll C83 chain is not a bad chain. It's probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest chains you can use. So for this thing to be able to outpull that, you know, if you had another chain on there, maybe like a Steel RS, I'd probably pick up another 5-6% over because of the chain. Now, I can go in there, and this is just an off the roll chain. You know, I can tune everything here to this power head. I mean, this is just a stock off the roll chain. I haven't tuned the rakers. I haven't tuned the angle. I haven't done anything. So there's more gains in this. And then in this rowdy pipe, you know, when I make these things, I make the components individually, and I kind of just trace stuff out. We weld it on. Make sure that there's no slag or anything in there, wash them out, and we're good to go. But you could actually go in there, if you wanted to go in there with a grinder and radius everything. I mean, there's room for improvement on these pipes. So just by improving this pipe a little better, getting in there with a file or a small Dremel, some stone, sandpaper, emery cloth, and just smoothing some of these rough edges out, you could pick up a little, and you could pick up a little bit more on the chain. I bet you could probably get to 45%. I bet you could pick up another 3 to 4, 5% speed by doing that and doing that and doing nothing else. And this is my philosophy because I build work saws. You know, so many guys are building these saws that are, you know, they're look impressive in the wood. They cut pretty fast, but they're not going to last. I mean, if somebody wants that, if somebody wants to pay money for a race saw or whatever and then cut wood with it, I suppose you could do that. I'm not about that, you know. I've got probably, with the cost of this saw and everything, I probably got about 800 some bucks invested into this saw. So it pretty much paid for itself on jobs already, but I just can't see personally when I'm getting this with basically bolt-on performance to go anymore. I know what's going to happen. I can put the airflow. I can pretty much. I don't need a dyno. I can pretty much tell you through experience I'm going to get this. Now sometimes you get surprised, but I'm usually pretty accurate in my predictions. So yeah, it was a success. I really like using this. It's hard to see in a video, but with this system, it cuts smoother. It cuts nice and straight. It's just a nice setup. Now we'll see how she how she reacts. I'll do a long-term test on this thing. Use this a lot for bucking or whatnot, and we'll see how she performs. But I think we'll be all right with this power. If you go to a 70cc and then, you know, you're getting maybe a stock 70 would be pushing it, but if you start modifying a 70cc, I think it might be too much for this chain. I really don't know what the strength of materials is on this. I mean, you can look at it physically. It is a smaller chassis, but it's not requiring as much power to pop through the wood either. So I'd say winner, chicken dinner here. So, alrighty.